Hey guys, welcome to Chalchitra Talks. मेरा नाम दिशा है and this is my new show Dishcoveries, जहाँ पे I'll be picking up concepts that intrigue me but evade me. In this show, I will be talking to some very interesting people who seem to have a clue about it. And this season is about love. In this episode, I spoke to Priya Malik, who I'm sure you all know for her beautiful spoken word poetry performances. She shared her thoughts with me on love, relationships, love languages, and what it means for her to be a good partner. So with that, let's get into this episode. Hi Priya, welcome to Chalchitra Talks. Welcome to my new show Dishcoveries. I'm so happy to have you here with me.
I'm happy to be here, thank you.
So today I'm going to ask you a lot of questions on love. I'm very clueless when it comes to love, and I was hoping that you could give me some advice.
I'll try.
So, do you think love is something that can be learned, or it is something that is just instinctively known?
Definitely not something that can be learned. Otherwise, I would be taking workshops on it. No, I think it's obviously a very innate feeling. And I believe we are all born with the capacity to love, which varies from person to person as well, I feel. आपका जो आपकी emotional intelligence, आपके experiences, आप कहाँ रहे हो, कैसे हालात में रहे हो. So I think that is definitely there, but definitely not something that can be learned.
So you don't look at it as like an art that requires like skill, knowledge, experience?
Oh, I hope that day doesn't come where we are like, we'll train you how to love or teach you how to love. You can learn to love better, but you can't learn to love. Love in itself is a very innate thing. I say this about poetry or, anything else, any art form. कुछ तो innate आपके अंदर होना चाहिए. And then you can nurture it. You can make it better. But you can't learn it from get-go. एक switch नहीं है कि आप on कर सकते हैं. Whether it is art or whether it is love. I feel the same way about it, both these things, yeah.
And how do you think one can go about nurturing this innate feeling? How can we become better lovers?
How can we become better lovers? Oh my God, by being worse lovers.
Yeah.
I always tell people that it is good to have breakups because it teaches you the most important thing in life, which is it's easy to know what you want in life, but it is harder to know what you don't want in life. And breakups and bad experiences, being bad lovers or other people being bad lovers to you will teach you so much about what you don't want or what you don't want to be or who you don't want to be. I think it is very important. And obviously, you can have the whole idea of role models. If you see your parents being better lovers to each other, you will innately pick up on it. If you see your parents being bad lovers to each other, there are two things that will happen. एक कि मैं उनकी तरह बिल्कुल नहीं बनना चाहती, right? और दूसरा कि कहीं ना कहीं आपने innately उन चीज़ों को imbibe कर लिया because आप उसी environment में थे. So the idea of immersion, the idea of immersing yourself in an environment which is loving and nurturing will obviously help. But can you learn to love? No. Can you learn to love better? Yes, to answer your question. Yeah.
And growing up, did you grow up in a household where conversations on love were very frequent?
No, actually, oh my God, my mom hated when I told her I'm in love. Maybe because I was 12 years old. Okay. I come from a family where there was a love marriage. My parents, they met each other when they were really young, when they were like 17, 18 years old. And मेरे dad 6 भाई हैं, उनमें से 3 की love marriage थी. So I had seen examples of love marriages around me and even like good marriages around me. My parents had a beautiful marriage. So growing up, I've seen how they were with each other. And I think that kind of shaped my idea of love. But also, oh my God, the media in the 90s, such a bad influence to have. So a lot of my ideas of love were also based on the literature I was consuming, and I was a very voracious reader growing up, as well as the films that I was watching as well. So thoda bahut wahan se bhi hua hai. I think all of these things have taught me a bit about love. And over the last few years, a lot of it has changed. I'm no longer the same exact Priya who fell in love at 12. Some things have remained the same, but a lot has changed for good.
What has changed? I would love to know.
Oh God. So I fell in love very early on in life. As I said, I was 12 years old. Or, उस उम्र में सब लोग बोलते हैं, it's not love, it's infatuation. That's a favorite word for everyone when it comes to teenagers falling in love. But I also feel that's a very pure form of love. Because जब आप उस उम्र में प्यार करते हो किसी से, आपको उनसे कुछ नहीं चाहिए होता. You don't want things that you want as an adult, your expectations are not there. It's just about exchanging that look with the person, interval mein main apne recess mein apna tiffin kha rahi hu, wo apna, it's very sweet, pure form of love. But at that time, I was always that girl who wanted to get married to every guy I ever dated.
Yeah.
And I've dated quite a few now. So looking back, I think that I'm glad I did not end up marrying someone I had met at 12 because I'm a completely different human being now. I understand self-love more, and that has taught me how to become a better lover. So वो change हुआ है. Growing up, I was a very popular teenager, but I had massive self-esteem issues. So I don't think I could have loved someone truly because I didn't love myself. I was constantly seeking validation from my lovers.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I would not have friends, but I would always have lovers growing up. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, at all of these stages in life. And I have learned a lot. Yeah.
You said that you didn't have friendships at points, but you always had romantic relationships. How do you think that impacted your romantic relationships? Because it's so important to have other social connections as well.
Exactly. Badly. And now in life, I have learned how important friends are and friendships are. I always had a very hard time making friends as a kid. And I steered away whenever someone tried to come too close in terms of friendships. I think I've learned better now because I think friendships also help you look at life differently. And, it helps you. It's like all of these emotions are under the same umbrella, right? You fall in love with your friends sometimes. So I think I have learned how to be a better friend, and that has also enabled me to be a better lover. Yeah, and having that net around you, that support net around you as well. Good friends can always be good lovers as well. Like the current relationship that I'm in, we were friends for a very large part of our relationship. The first 9 months, actually.
Yeah.
I sometimes tell Karan, I said it's like the gestation period of the baby.
Yeah.
So the first 9 months, we were just friends. And that has really helped me now in life because every time if we ever bicker or if we ever argue or if we ever fight, we look for that friendship again. Hum wapas, I would go into the room and I would be like, kya chal raha hai yaar? Or he would come to me and he would be like, kya yaar, bata, kya problem hai? Which probably we wouldn't have had that comfort level if we were not friends first. So I've also learned the importance of being friends first and lovers later.
So this concept of romance blossoming out of a friendship has always perplexed me because I've always looked at friendships as something extremely unconditional, and the chance of a romance blossoming out of a friendship just seems like something that would infect this very unconditional space of love. How important do you think it is to be friends with people that you fall in love with eventually? Can't it happen the other way around where you first fall in love with them and then a friendship blossoms out of that romance?
Very interesting, and I do understand what you're trying to say. The idea of your friendship getting tainted because उसमें वो love वाली expectations आ जाती हैं and those feelings come into the place. But I still feel, based on like my current relationship, I call Karan the love of my life, and I feel that the reason why our relationship is so strong is because I gave myself the chance to be friends with him first. Maybe my experiences are different because I've always had trouble making friends in the past. So jab wo khula, life mein, I was around 30. I think a lot of things started getting based on that as well. So you could be right if you are someone who has always had friends and then you have noticed that when you become lovers, things just suddenly change. You're like, kya ho gaya tujhe? Tu kitna acha dost tha? Tu kitna ganda lover hai? Maybe that's true, but in my case, it has had the opposite impact on me. And I think it's so subjective. जिस तरह से हमारी ज़िंदगी different है, maybe उस तरीके से हमारे प्यार और दोस्ती के experiences भी different होते हैं. Yeah.
मुझे ऐसे भी लगता है कि द रीज़न वाई फ्रेंडशिप्स आर सो अनकंडीशनल एंड दे लाइक यू कैन इट्स ईजियर टू सस्टेन देम इज बिकॉज with friends you like them first and then you fall in love with them. But in romantic relationships में usually ऐसे होता है कि you fall in love with them first and then you like them. So how important do you think it is to not only love but also like your partner?
Very important. You could be in love with your partner and still not like your partner. And that's a very problematic thing in life. I feel that you have to like people that you love. बहुत ज़रूरी है और बहुत सारे लोग इसमें फ़र्क नहीं देख पाते. जिस इंसान से आप प्यार करते हैं उस इंसान के बारे में, उस इंसान की शख्सियत आपको पसंद होनी चाहिए. एंड टू मी इट इज़ ऑल्सो सो इम्पॉर्टेंट दैट द पर्सन दैट आई लव, I don't just judge them based on how they are with me. To me, a very strong part is how they are with others around them. चाहे वो उनके खुद के दोस्त हो, चाहे वो मेरी फैमिली हो, चाहे वो उनकी फैमिली हो, चाहे वो हम अगर रेस्टोरेंट में चाहे तो जो इंसान सर्व कर रहा हो चाहे वो हो, मेरे लिए वो चीज़ें बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हैं. बिकॉज आई हैव टू लाइक देम इन दोज एस्पेक्ट्स. दे कुड बी वंडरफुल टू मी, बट इफ दे आर assholes to others, I would not want to be with them. And they could be the best boyfriend. But if they are not good people, I want nothing to do with them. Yeah.
Do you think that's also because it is very easy to be respectful to the person you like, but like what counts is how respectful you are to someone that you don't owe anything to.
Exactly, that's my point. तो वो भी एक चीज़ मैंने नोटिस किया है कि मेरे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है to like that person in other aspects as well in order to love them. Which is where the whole idea of being friends first comes for me, right? Because when you're friends with them, you like them for who they are. And then it becomes much easier to fall in love with them. And every time there is a disconnect in my relationship, Karan and I always go back to being friends again. And I think that's what has kept us afloat so far. It is very important to be in love with yourself in order to love others. And I think I hadn't done that for a very long part of my life. I have struggled a lot with my own identity as well for a very long time. I feel that I understood myself at the age of 30. And that's really late. And so I've been married once before. I was married at 21, and that was also my boyfriend at the time. And I thought, oh my God, I know everything that there is to know, और मुझे सब पता है, और and then I went on such a journey of self-discovery. I moved countries. I was living in Australia. I was there for almost a decade, and I changed who I was. I started understanding myself better. And that understanding made me fall in love with myself. And when I say fall in love with myself, I don't mean in a self-absorbed way. I mean, मुझे वो समझ में आ गया कि मुझे ज़िंदगी में क्या नहीं चाहिए. And a part of moving out of that marriage and moving back to India was a part and parcel of all this. कि मैं finally अपने आप को समझने लग गई थी. और वो बहुत ज़रूरी था in order to be a better lover, which I feel I now am in my life. Yeah, because you can't make others happy if you're not happy. How can you? How can you give from a glass that is half empty? My glass needs to be full in order for me to be of service to others. And for me, my love language is acts of service. So for me, it is extremely important to be able to have my glass full in order to pour into the other person's glass.
This whole journey of self-discovery that you went on, did you take a break from dating during, like, is it important to, is basically what I'm trying to get at?
I took a couple of years when I had moved back to India. I was still married, but I was living on my own. I think that period of reflection and self-discovery was very important for me. It was not a deliberate decision to take a break and be like, okay, I'm going to eat, pray, love my life. You know, वो नहीं हुआ था. But कहीं ना कहीं, I think I started realizing that it is important for me to be honest to my own self. I think it is very easy for us human beings to be in denial about love and about relationships. And the most uncomfortable place to be is a comfort zone. So sometimes we get so comfortable with the relationship, even if it's a bad one, that we are in, that we are like, हाँ ये सही है, जो भी है ठीक है, चला लेंगे, and that's not a great space to be in.
So, how many heartbreaks do you think you have left in you? After what point will you give up on love completely?
Oh God, I hope I don't have to. I'm getting married again in October. My school, my friends used to call me Meena Kumari growing up. I was like the tragedy queen. I started writing poetry at 12. My first breakup happened with my boyfriend, and that's where the poetry started coming. And all my first few poems were heartbreak poems. So I've had not just my heart broken, I've had my heart shattered, like literally into pieces. But I'm also very resilient as a human being. I don't think I will ever have the capacity to not love people. I like to give love. And now my definition of love has also changed in so many ways. I now don't just look at love in a very romantic sense. Like, I also have the idea of giving love to people around me. I think जब से मैंने अपने आप को समझना शुरू किया और समझाना शुरू किया, I think तब से मेरे अंदर से प्यार करने की कैपेसिटी दुगनी चौगनी 10 गुना बढ़ गई है. Yeah, I'm no longer, I used to be a very angry person when I was in a very strange state with myself. I used to get angry easily. I would be bitter. I would be cynical, online, offline. And all of that changed the moment I became more centered and more calm and I was in a happy relationship and everything. I think I'll always love people. If not romantically, then even otherwise. Like, I have so much love to give. Like, you know, whether it is love to men or whether it is love to my family, friends now. I have friends in my life. My pets. I want to have children. And, you know, that's one of the biggest reasons I want to have children is because I think that's one relationship where you want nothing from the other person. You just want to give, give, give. And I think that state to be in, that self-actualization, is really important for me in life. Yeah.
So only when we have love and patience for ourselves can we extend it to...
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely. So you have to love yourselves in order to love others. You just can't, it can't be the other way around. And I did that for so long by not being in love with myself and trying to love other people. Obviously, it never worked out. I'm not surprised.
So what is something you've believed about love for the longest time but don't anymore?
That's such a deep question. Wow. So many things. One of the biggest things, and I actually wrote one of my own favorite poems about it as well, is that ज़रूरी नहीं कि जैसे तुम प्यार करते हो, तुम्हारा प्रेमी ठीक वैसे ही प्यार जताए. Which means that I used to believe that my idea of love is the idea of love. Just because I like to express my love in certain ways, if someone is in love with me, they will also express love in the exact same way.
Yeah.
And I think it was Karan that changed that for me. You know how they say there are 5 languages of love, right?
Yeah.
So there is acts of service, there is words of affirmation, there is giving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. और हम सब इन्हीं 5 तरीकों से अपना प्यार जताते हैं यूजुअली. हम सब की लेकिन जो प्राइमरी लैंग्वेज और सेकेंडरी लैंग्वेज होती है वो अलग अलग होती है. तो मेरी प्राइमरी लैंग्वेज इज एक्ट्स ऑफ सर्विस, विच मीन्स दैट इफ आई एम इन लव विद यू, आई वुड कुक फॉर यू, आई वुड वांट टू डू थिंग्स फॉर यू, आई वुड वांट टू बी ऑफ सर्विस टू यू इन सम वेज. इफ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर अ रेस्टोरेंट टू ईट, आई विल फाइंड आउट द रेस्टोरेंट फॉर यू. मतलब जो भी तरीके से आई कैन. And Karan's, one of his primary ones is quality time. Right? So I realized being with him that love can be expressed differently. And that doesn't mean that the other person doesn't love you. Because it is so easy for us to assume, oh my God, he doesn't love me. Or why is he being like this? Because सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ जो आप समझते हो, ये समझते हैं कि हर किसी का प्यार जताने का तरीका अलग होता है. और ये मुझे रिसेंटली ही पिछले कुछ सालों में समझ में आया है. एंड दैट्स बिकॉज Karan showed some resistance to me. You know, I had always fallen in love with people who would listen to me a lot. तो अगर मैं कहती थी कि नहीं ऐसे नहीं ऐसे, तो ठीक है, हाँ ऐसे नहीं ऐसे, तो ठीक है ऐसे. I think Karan kind of like showed me the mirror and he was like, Priya, एक second, अगर मैं ऐसे नहीं कर रहा तो इसका ये मतलब नहीं है that I don't love you. I am doing this because this is my way of expressing love. And I would resist it. And then I would sit back and think, हो सकता है ना कि किसी का प्यार करने का तरीका आपसे अलग हो. और ये मेरी ज़िंदगी का सबसे बड़ा लेसन रहा है रिलेशनशिप्स में, and it has been a game changer for me. Because सबसे बड़ी एजुकेशन वही होती है जब आप डिफरेंसेस को समझने लग जाएं, अप्रिशिएट करने लग जाएं और एक्सेप्ट करने लग जाएं. और अगर आपको कोई भी चीज़ ये सिखा सकती है, वेदर ये नौकरी हो, रिलेशनशिप्स हो, जो भी चीज़ हो, you are, if you're learning something about it, you are in a good relationship. If it is making you grow, it's expanding my horizons, it is making me think differently, it is not changing who I am, but it is making me look at things from the other perspective, being in someone else's shoes. तो एक वो जो empathy का aspect होता है, वो create हो जाता है, which has only happened now in the last few years. Otherwise I used to think it's my way or the highway. अच्छा ये प्यार है और ये नहीं है. मैं इतनी ज़्यादा इस बारे में I used to be so rigid about this कि ये प्यार है और ये नहीं है, ये है ये नहीं है, ये है ये नहीं है. But that's not the way love works.
पर ऐसे भी हो सकता है ना कि their love language doesn't work for you, doesn't reassure you enough. In that case, they love you, you love them, but incompatibility है.
I think this is where communication comes into place, right? And सबसे अच्छी जो relationships होती हैं वो communication पे ही based होती हैं. And Karan and I have communicated a lot because our love languages were so different from each other that it took me a while to understand how he loves, and it took him a while to understand how I love. So it has all been about communication. Had we not communicated about it and been like ठीक है नहीं हो रहा या ठीक है नहीं हो रहा, it would have been so easy to give up on it as well, right? So I think it actually makes you a better lover because it enables you to communicate the difficult things, the uncomfortable things, right? जो बातें हम usually करना ही नहीं चाहते, right? Because we are living in the day and age where it's all about swiping right and swiping left, and there's a whole array out there. You're like अच्छा नहीं यार इससे नहीं vibe match हो रही, let's go to the next, rather than thinking क्योंकि there's something here, let me see what else is out here, let me इसको थोड़ा और कुरेद के देखती हूँ क्या होता है. So I think वो aspect होना ज़रूरी है. It enables you to communicate. It will make you better lovers if you're having those uncomfortable conversations because it's important. Yeah.
Would you say that is something that you absolutely despise about modern dating, or?
I don't despise modern dating. To each their own. And I know it works for a lot of people. In fact, for someone who grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, I feel sometimes that I did not have the kind of autonomy and concepts of choice that I could have had I been growing up in this day and age. So I'm not completely anti-modern dating. I believe it has a lot of pros as well as cons. There are some things about it which don't go down well with me, but there are some things about it which I totally understand and respect. As I said, appreciating differences and respecting differences. I feel that it has made it made us less resilient when it comes to love. But I also feel that it has opened, especially women, to the idea of autonomy and choice. Yeah. And consent.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a big one.
Growing up, I grew up with brothers, so I never really had like a female figure that I could turn to for advice. How important do you think is it to have that person in your life? Because the way men perceive love is pretty different from the way women perceive love. So did you have that figure for you? Or if you didn't, like who would you go to for advice?
Oh, I was a massive introvert when it came to my own love, my love life. So I would not discuss it with many people. My mom was obviously, old school, and she was the whole idea कि नहीं लड़कों से friends बन सकते हो लेकिन boyfriend नहीं होना चाहिए. And that also made me do it the other way around because there was also a rebel in me and all of that in me. I actually did not have role models that I could turn to when it came to love because love was such a taboo word where I grew up. I grew up in Dehradun, in the 90s and early 2000s, and nobody wanted to admit that they are in love. Nobody wanted to be in love. Everyone was like, "Bas tum bade ho jao, शादी कर लो उसके बाद प्यार करना." And I had this whole different life on the side, where I was falling in love. I had my heartbreaks. I was learning things. I was unlearning things, and I had nobody to talk to. So in a way, I think the modern dating world and social media and parents these days allow their kids to have those conversations which are really important. And even online, people have these people that they look up to for dating advice and relationship advice. When I was growing up, there was none of that.
So recently I've been seeing a lot of posts on Instagram जिस पे वो ऐसे guides आती है to check whether you are in a healthy relationship or not. Like 5 signs you're dating someone that's a narcissist, वगैरह. And in general, words like narcissism, toxicity, वगैरह, they've become a part of everyone's vocabulary आजकल. My issue with that is, while I'm very happy now people have the resources to sit and reflect more on whether or not they are in a healthy relationship, I do think that it has also, in a way, because these posts are presented in a way that it makes you evaluate other people's actions but never your own. Do you think that people have become less introspective?
Yes, because it's so easy for us to now put people into labels, right?
Yeah.
And you're right, it doesn't give you much of a chance to introspect. When it comes to these posts, you're getting informed, and information is always good. But at the same time, I also believe information is ammunition. And it is so powerful, it has to be used in the right way. If you use it in the wrong way, the next time you have even a silly argument, you can just turn up to the person and be like, you're toxic, you're narcissist, you're abusive. It's very easy to do that. But at the same time, if you're using it in the right way, the right fashion, with introspection and reflection, maybe you are in a bad relationship. And maybe that Instagram post is actually showing you the mirror and telling you that, you know, you are being gaslit, or you are dating a narcissist, or you are in a toxic relationship. So it just depends on how you use information. And taking everything with a pinch of salt that you see online, whether it is relationship advice, fitness advice, oh my God. Like, you know, the amount of contradictory opinions that you hear from people. You know, some people are like, salt is good, salt is bad. So there's so much out there. So you really have to take everything with a pinch of salt online.
You must have seen, like, people are posting ridiculous inconveniences and labeling them as red flags.
Yeah.
What are some actual red flags to you?
So I'm very resilient in relationships. It takes me a lot to fall out of love with someone. Is it because I'm old school? I don't know. But I believe that it is so hard to find good souls and good people. And I would not want to let go of someone over a minor inconvenience or a minor argument or a minor fight. I believe that there are 3 things in a relationship. If they are there, I will fight to death for it. Number 1 to me is loyalty. If someone is loyal to me, that's a big thing to me. Definitely a basic thing as well.
Yeah,
it's a
bare minimum.
It's a bare minimum that I would expect in a relationship. Respect. If there is respect between 2 people, very important for me as well. And obviously love. You know, if there are these 3 things are there in a relationship, I think everything else can be resolved with communication. There is nothing in this world that cannot be resolved with honest communication. Even if it is sometimes the so-called red flags. If you see someone being you know, an anxious mess in front of you, and that anxiety is causing trouble in the relationship as well, honest communication can help. But it has to happen both ways. It can't just be one way. It can't just be me saying that, okay, listen, these are the things I'm noticing, what's up with you. It has to come from the other person as well. So it takes a lot for someone like me to fall out of love or give up on a relationship. I would give it time. I would give it communication. I would give it every attempt possible before I would say, okay, I call it quits.
Yeah.
Is that the best trait? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But that is me being me. And you know, I'm not perfect either. Yeah.
I can imagine it must get super exhausting to give your everything, but also it must be easier to then walk away when you need to.
Because you know you have given it everything. Absolutely. You know, I grew up reading a lot and being a poet. And my poems also do reflect that Sufi form of love. So for me, love is devotion. I fall in love 200% with people. And I've always been. Even when I was a 12-year-old, you know, I was 200% in love. So you're right. It takes a lot for me to give up on something. But when it comes to that boiling point where I am giving up, then I know that there is no turning back either. Because I know isse zyada main nahi de sakti, right? Because I have done 200% to keep this relationship going. A lot of people that I've dated in the past, you know, when I have come across them later in life, some of them as friends or otherwise as well, they've all had that conversation that, oh my God, you were so intense. And it's like, yeah, that was me being me.
How did that make you feel when people called you intense? Because that is clearly your style of loving someone and just...
You know, one of my recent poems is called I'm Not a Cool Girlfriend.
Yeah.
And the reason that's there is because that's just the way I love. Like, if someone wants to tell me that that's too intense for them, they are not meant for me. It's as simple as that. And funny example that I'll give to you is that when Karan and I first started dating, he would leave for work and I would text him after 45 minutes an hour saying, have you reached? And he'd be like, yeah. And then I would do this every day. Have you reached? Have you reached? And one day I told him that, listen, Karan, when you get to work, just tell me now that you've reached. And he turned around and he was like, why don't you trust me? I was like, it's not about trust at all. I'm anxious. Because he used to catch the train and then he used to change trains in the middle as well. So in my heart, it was coming from a place of care, not from a place of suspicion at all. That was the last thing on my mind. And it's so funny that he saw it that way. That he was like, why does she want to know, like, you know, that I've reached or not? Obviously, I've reached. So I think communication, that has really helped us understand each other so well and understand different ways of loving and caring and everything else as well. So while a lot of people might say that a girlfriend like me who's constantly asking, have you reached? Message me when you reach. Have you eaten? Oh, that's too much, or that's so claustrophobic. To me, it comes from, I always say, प्यार परवाह है और मेरे लिए किसी की परवाह करने के लिए ये ज़रूरी है कि वो पहुंच गए ठीक से कि नहीं. I would do that to my mom and dad. So why would I not do that to my to-be husband or my children? You know, do I not trust my dad or my mom? Of course I trust them. Of course I'm not being toxic to them. You know, my mom still calls me and asks me, khana kha liya, right? And the day that will not happen, I'll feel something's missing. So I'm exactly like that in relationships. And modern relationships and this whole modern day terminology has made a lot of people label this into being so uncool, you know, khana kha liya. You're like, what the hell? Kya khaya Shona babu ne? You know, there are these jokes online. Yeah. But it's true. I want to know kya khaya Shona babu ne, you know, so that the next time maybe if we are eating at a restaurant, I know what to order or what this person likes. So when this person visits my house, I want to know what to cook. Kya bura hai in choti cheezon mein relationships ke? It is also very easy for men to brand women as these psycho girlfriends. It's a term that is so casually thrown around. Oh my God, she's such a psycho. Just because she's normally caring about you or asking you basic things out of a relationship. So I think that my entire poem that I'm Not a Cool Girlfriend comes out of that aspect as well. Ki a lot of men, not all men, but I think a lot of men feel that if a woman is being too caring about them, then she's the psycho girlfriend. And when a woman is not caring about them, tab yaar ye bandi theek nahi hai. It's just like, get a grip.
There's no winning.
Yeah, there's no winning. But I like being that girl who doesn't back down. Like, I still ask Karan, have you reached? If someday he forgets to message. I'm very unabashedly me. I'm very honest about my shortcomings as well. But I don't think to love someone the way I love is a shortcoming. And I would never apologize for it. I can't apologize to you for loving you or for caring about you.
Were you always this secure in your style of loving, or is that something that took time?
It took time. I also tried to mitigate who I am and how I love. And I think a lot of younger women do that. A lot of women do that, you know. They're like, अरे यार अभी नहीं message करती, नहीं तो वो सोचेगा कि you know मैं कितनी desperate हूँ. करो message बिंदास. He should know कि तुम कैसी हो. And you have to present your 100% authentic version to someone in order for them to love you back as well, right? So I have also been in relationships where I tried being the cool girlfriend. You know, I would not ask kahan gaye ho, kya kar rahe ho, kiske saath ho. But then I realized it doesn't work for me, right? I have to know kaun hai, kiske saath gaye ho, kahan ho. Not being Priya did obviously not help me because I was not being my most authentic version. So I think that's really important. But you know what's even more important is to understand that the other person doesn't have to do all that in order to prove that they love me. Like, you know, they can have a different, again, coming back to the whole idea that they can have a different way of loving me. Just because they are not asking me constantly, where are you, what are you doing, who are you with, doesn't mean that they don't love me. तो ये भी मेरे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी था कि I will love you like I love you, but I will be open to receiving your way of affection. So even in that particular poem, this line comes in the end, that I will love you like I love you, but I'll be open to receiving your way of affection. It all, to me, it all comes down to this. This has been my biggest revelation, my biggest learning when it comes to matters of love.
And how differently do you perceive love now after this?
So I was also a very dramatic kid growing up. To me, there always had to be something happening, something that is causing me anguish and pain and insecurity, and or something like, there has to be something like it's a constant rumbling ocean. For me, love now has a very different meaning. It has to be stable. It has to be secure. It has to not have this constant drama. I used to think drama is love, like, if I'm pining in love and, if there's always something going on, I no longer look at it that way. For me, love is something that is, there's this beautiful line by this poet that I really do admire called Babusha Kohli. And I might not quote this correctly, but उन्होंने लिखा है कि अगर वो आपको सुंदर, सरल और सहेज कर नहीं रख रहा, तो वो प्रेम तो नहीं है, कुछ और है. And I think that is so important. If you are in the right relationship, it will make you a better person. It will make you a calmer person. You won't be that constant rumbling ocean. You will be that lake that is in peace, that brings a sense of calm. और अगर आप ऐसी रिलेशनशिप में हो जिसमें कांस्टेंट ड्रामा चल रहा है, जिसमें आप कॉन्स्टेंटली गेस वर्क खेल रहे हो, he loves me not, get out of that relationship. Get out of that relationship. You don't need to be in a drama in order to feel truly loved. And a lot of us are used to that idea of love because we have either grown up seeing it, or it's the films, or it's the literature, something that has impacted us falling in love with unavailable people. I've been that girl too. Yeah, I have been that girl.
And how did you go about this unlearning? Because I feel like I am that girl right now.
So I used to always get attracted to people who I knew that I wouldn't end up with. And but I wanted to end up with, but deep in my gut I would know that this is not the right person, or they would be unavailable, or not love me back. I just started loving myself better and understanding myself better. And that has made all the difference. That has made me realize that love is something that is supposed to make me feel loved. It's as simple as that. If love doesn't make you feel loved, it is not love.
So, very often this happens in relationships, that you get this tiny thought in your head, ki, is this it? What if there's more out there? Have you ever experienced that?
When you're in the right relationship, that is one of the first feelings that will diminish. You would not want to know if there is anything better out there. And how do I know it? Because I'm finally in that relationship. Before that, even I used to always think that, what if there's someone else meant for me? What if there's something more to my love life? What if I'm supposed to experience a different kind of a relationship? One of the first things that happened to me in my current relationship is that feeling completely eliminated itself on its own. It was such a natural part of the process as well. I'm also a big believer in destiny. And I also feel that love happens when we are not looking for love. So this constant search for love that we are in, every time, we are trying to be loved, we are constantly sending that energy out to the universe. And the moment you are unto your own self, you're like, ठीक है, अगर होगा तो भी ठीक है, नहीं होगा तो देखा जाएगा. You end up falling in the best relationship of your life.
Do you think that's because we come from a place of fear rather than love when you're desperately looking for it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you are meeting someone for the idea of dating them, you're constantly, there's this checklist going on in your head. You're constantly thinking, is this person going to make a good boyfriend? And, there's so many other things. So that definitely takes away from the relationship. But when you meet someone without that baggage, this person has to be my forever lover.
Yeah.
जब वो baggage नहीं होता तब आप उन चीज़ों को ज़्यादा अच्छे से assess कर पाते हो. So yeah, It's lovely to have love in your life, but it is okay to also not have it if it doesn't come to you naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe that even like when you get rid of the weight of those expectations, only then you can create that space to get to know that person for who they are.
And being your authentic self, that is so important. Being in love with yourself, being an authentic version of yourself, and knowing yourself enough to be able to communicate who you are, what your needs are, what your wants are, your non-negotiables. बहुत ज़रूरी है ये सारी चीज़ें. Communication is the key to every good relationship. I believe wars can be solved with communication, right? So love तो बहुत छोटी सी चीज़ है.
You mentioned that you were married previously. At what point did you realize that this is not something that's meant for me, and was it a graceful process for you?
Yes, thankfully it was. I had known this person for a very long time, and this person had met me and seen me grow and evolve into a different human being as well. And it was very important for me to let go gracefully. And we were both courteous with each other about that and honest with each other about that as well. At what point did I realize it? Quite early on. But me being me, I wanted to give it everything that I had. जब उसके बाद भी लगा कि ठीक नहीं है, I think that's when things turned for me. Yeah. And I'm glad, right? I would never want to be in something if I'm not 200% into it. And I've been like that all my life, whether it is my relationship, even my work. I've changed careers like massively at one point in time. My teaching, I'm a qualified teacher. I have an MEd and a Master's by Research in English. And the day I stopped teaching, I remember I told I had a year 12 English class, and I told the girls, I said, I just feel I'm not 100% into this. And it would be unfair of me to continue to be your teacher because I would never want to give you anything less than this. And we all cried and we all had that thing. And I still remember this so vividly. And I'm like that in my relationships as well. अगर मैं उस चीज़ में पूरी तरह से रमी नहीं हुई हूँ, चाहे वो मेरा काम हो, चाहे वो मेरी कला हो, चाहे वो मेरा इश्क हो, तो वो मुझे चाहिए नहीं.
So there's this fun game I want to play with you called Change My Mind. I will tell you a statement I believe about love, and you can either encourage me to hold on to that belief or you can try to change my mind about it.
That's scary. Let's do it.
So people don't deserve a second chance.
Change your mind. Because I think everyone deserves a second chance. I have been so many different versions of who I used to be. So if someone judges me on who I was 10 years ago, it would be so unfair because I have grown, I have evolved, I have learned.
Being in love isn't enough to make a relationship work.
True. There are so many other things that come with it. Yeah. Respect, liking the other person, all of these things.
Your partner not getting along with your friends is a red flag.
No. Just because someone is my partner or if I'm their partner doesn't mean that I have to get along with everyone that they are friends with. I might get along with some people more because I might be naturally more attuned to them and some of them less. And that's absolutely okay. My current partner has friends that I get along better with and some that I'm like, okay, hi, okay, that Karan is there. And then they do their own thing. And with others, I'm much more closer and we are more communicative. And the same goes for him as well. It's absolutely okay. It's like you being, there are some people who will be your best friends. Some people will be your acquaintances. It's the same for them. They should not be forced to love all my friends. I don't think that's fair. As long as they're not spiteful or hateful towards anyone for no reason, I'm okay with it.
If the breakup ends amicably in a drama-free way, they never truly loved each other.
No, that is so wrong. In fact, a part of me probably feels the other way around. I feel that if you truly love each other, you will know when is the best time to let go of each other. And by letting go of each other, you might be doing the best thing, which is the case, I believe, with me and my ex-husband, right? I believe that we loved each other enough to let go of each other. That requires a lot of grace, a lot of humility. And all of that can only be in a relationship where you actually truly loved and understood the other person.
I do also think it's a matter of respect as well. Do you think love and respect go hand in hand?
Yeah, they have to. They have to. I can't love someone if I have zero respect for them or if I don't like them. So all of these are, we are using these terms so separately from each other, but they're all a part of the same umbrella after all.
Everything is not fair in love and war.
True. Hold on to that statement. Yeah. Such an easy cop out. It is. Yeah. That, oh my God. It's like saying, oh my God, I was drunk. Get out of here.
Yeah. A relationship that begins by betraying a third person's trust is doomed and bound to end sooner or later.
I do believe once a cheater, always a cheater. But I also do believe, a part of me also believes that people change and people evolve. So this is the difficult question for me to answer because I've seen both and experienced both. And I think it is so subjective. I don't know. I would say with this statement, wait to see how it works out for you. Don't hold on to it and don't let go of it either, but wait to see how your own opinion gets formed.
Love is as love does.
That's a beautiful thing to hold on to. Yeah. So I'm a huge believer of, now that you say this, I am a huge believer in actions. And being a poet, it is strange for me to say that actions matter more than words. You could be telling me the best things. You could be giving me words of reassurance, words of reaffirmation. You could be writing me the loveliest love letters. You could be telling me the best love poems. But if your actions don't speak up for themselves, then you're not. So love is a verb. It is a verb. It's an action. Yeah, that's very important to remember.
So before we end this episode, I would love to know what your favorite love song is.
Oh, so many. So I'm a huge fan of music. Music makes my world go round. Like you would always hear something, me humming something or a song in the background. बहुत सारे मुझे पुराने हिंदी गाने बहुत पसंद हैं. बड़े अच्छे लगते हैं. I love that song. Absolutely love it. मेरा तुझसे है पहले का नाता कोई. To me, that is such a romantic song. And the one song that represents that I'm not a cool girlfriend. I laugh about it all the time. It's मेरा साया साथ रहेगा. तू जहाँ जहाँ चलेगा. And my favorite poem as well. I'm sorry I'm talking about a poem when you've asked about a song, but is Amrita Preetham's Main Tenu Fir Milangi, right? Yeah. And then the song is Mera Saya Saath Rahega. So me to that idea of being there for the person that you love is really important, and that will, that resolution. Like if I'm in love with someone and something happens to them, I will always be there. If I have to take a train, a bullock cart, if I have to run, I have to catch a flight, whatever I have to do, I have to walk to that person for 200 miles, I would do that.
So for all the people that have come here for you, can you please tell them to subscribe to Chalchitra Talks?
Please like, share and subscribe to Chalchitra Talks अगर आपको ऐसी खूबसूरत बातें और सुननी है.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.